I've been scratching my head like crazy trying to figure out what's going on with this Polaris Sportsman 335. Before you think I'm wasting your time, we got it running. Problem is, starting poorly and backfiring. I'm like, okay, backfiring, that's timing, right? So checked out my physical timing, and I've got this recoil off here now. You see how we've got this little inspection hole? There's a little bitty inspection hole with an arrow in there, which is supposed to line you up on your timing mark on the flywheel. So I popped that little bitty inspection cover off there. A valve timing is supposed to be as it shows here. The cam alignment pin right there, that little bitty guy on the top right here is supposed to be clocked at 12 o'clock, which is perpendicular, if you want to call that, with the horizontal plane of the head itself here. And that's supposed to be your top dead center marking through that inspection hole. Here's my top dead center hash, and then here's the ignition timing. So it's got a little bit of advanced ignition, so it's showing you if you had a light on here, it would spark ahead of top dead center, which is what they normally do. Now the problem is, I went through and adjusted my timing, figured maybe something jumped, chain was tight. So I had compression, I had spark, had good fuel from the carburetor. I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's backfire every now and then. So I had a theory. I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe my physical timing is correct. When I rotated it, there was no interference with the valves or pistons. It would rotate freely. So I did the timing up here, one tooth at a time to get it set right. And then I tried pulling it over by hand. When I pulled it over by hand, it stopped. I heard the valve just kind of make contact with the piston itself. So I was like, well, that sucks. It means my timing wasn't wrong, but it's wrong now. So I had another theory. Maybe the flywheel key stripped. Guess what? See that? Here is the keyway mark on the flywheel. And here's the keyway mark on the shaft. And as you can see, keyway is broken. So, threw off my ignition timing. It also threw off my reference mark for setting my physical valve timing. And in that case, was really advancing the spark. So, we'll get a new flywheel key in here. Put this bad boy back on here, and this old Polaris will be back in business hauling big old deer out of the woods and should be good to go. You just got to take off the foot pedals and a couple other things. To get to this, all you do is zip tie down my little brake pedal, get it out of the way, because you've got a slew of screws and retainers that hold this thing on here. And after you get that off there, I busted the nut off of here, and honestly, the way this thing spun, it might just come out pretty easy. No, it's not gonna come out easy. But I know since it spun, it should come off pretty easy. It's not seized to the shaft. One thing I can tell you is never, I'll say this again, never, say it with me, never put anti-seize on any keyway shaft like that. I did not. I've learned the hard way, just, because something was hard to get off in my early years. I was like, I'll put anti-seize on it. I was breaking keyways left and right. Clean that shaft as best as you can. Don't waller them out. Don't make them loose to where they're going to slop on there. They've got to be nice and tight. You want that friction to be as high as possible. You don't want to lubricate it. You don't want to anti-seize it. They do make a green thread locker. It's called collar retainer. It's a green collar retention. Not to be confused with the green thread lock that they have that's a penetrating thread locker. A collar retainer is just for that what you think. It keeps an outer and an inner sleeve from rotating without threads. It's not a thread locker. It's a sleeve collar retainer. So I've got a little bit of that over there. I'm going to drop a couple drops on here, and then I'll be putting a new keyway in here and putting this dude back together, and hopefully she'll run great again. And there's the keyway, and the other half is in there. Cool. Got a bunch of debris in here. Not a bunch, but enough. We'll get it out of there. Don't you worry about it. Silly me. Tricks are for kids. Okay. She wants to play dirty. That's fine. Really? Okay, well. There we go. Here goes the little guy. Perfect. Got this Polaris Sportsman ignition timing resolved, put the new keyway in there, and got everything tightened back down. It started, and it just sounded like there was a bit of a vacuum leak, like a little bit of a vacuum suck. I could hear it, and every now and then it would kind of lean pop. I'm like, ugh. Okay, so I look down at the intake boot, which is, this is what mounts to the cylinder head itself, and the carburetor goes here. And as you can see, spoiler alert, it was cracked, and you see how she's all dry rotted, so it was sucking air right through this crack. And my thoughts are on this is it was just old, and when the ignition timing went south, whenever that keyway spun, this thing started backfiring profusely. So I think that explosive backfire just blew out through this dry rot crack in the intake. So luckily, got a new intake. Wasn't that expensive. I was able to get it changed out pretty quick. And now it starts. You can tune the idle down to where she needs to be. So I'll let you listen to it. And just like that, back in business. If you have any questions, just ask. I'm here for you guys. God bless.